All right, we're going to get ourselves started. I, Mayor Matt Girding, call the December 8th, 2025 City Council meeting for the City of Somersworth to order. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Pepin.
Yep.
Vincent.
Here.
Gibson.
Excuse.
Parity Catanzaro.
Excuse.
Michaud.
Here.
Witham.
Here.
Goodwin.
Here.
Cameron.
Here.
Barry.
Here.
All right, Councilor Pepin will now lead the council in the Pledge of Allegiance. Next on the agenda is the recognition of our Indigenous people, our Native Ancestral Americans. This meeting takes place on Indokina, which is the unceded traditional ancestral homeland of the Abenaki, Pennacook, and Wabanaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land, waterways, living beings, and the Alnabuk, the people who have stewarded Indokina throughout the generations. Also, I apologize if I'm hard to hear. I do have a cold tonight, so if you gotta give me one of these, please do so in the audience there. All right, item 4 on the agenda are presentations. Tonight we have 2, though I only see one of our presenters here this evening. So we're gonna start with Mr. Shane Conlon, if that's okay. Our first round I don't see in the audience. So we'll hopefully, they'll show up while Mr. Conlon presents. But Mr. Conlon is our city's code compliance officer and will provide updates on property maintenance codes and code compliance operations. So thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot earlier than you were expecting. What's that? I know, a little like Jeopardy maybe? No worries, you're good.
Bravo.
Indeed.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. Mayor Girding and members of the council. My name's Shane Conlon, as mentioned before. I'm the co-compliance officer here at the City of Somersworth. Before you tonight is the second reading for the updates, the property maintenance code. Manager Moore has asked me to provide you with an informational session to inform you guys on how the property maintenance code is used to bring value to the city and residents here in the City of Somersworth. But before I do that, I'd like to highlight a couple other ordinances that my office also deals with. We have the property maintenance code, the zoning ordinance, the public health ordinance, and the noise nuisance control ordinance. The zoning ordinance, a couple examples: wetland, commercial, site plan violations. We got public health, which overlaps quite a bit with the property maintenance code. It might cover sewer line breaks, clogged sewers in apartment buildings, hazardous trees, chemical hazards, and the list goes on. Noise nuisance control, pretty self-explanatory, but we deal with construction noise, commercial operations, and everything in between. So what is the importance of code enforcement? Number one is always building safety, but there's a lot of other benefits that include quality of life improvements, especially for tenants and homeowners that could be impacted by, unattentive landlords or commercial development nearby. But at the end of the day, in addition to providing building safety, we're all trying to improve public image to attract new residents, businesses, and developers, which ultimately supports the city's master plan and the city that we all call home. So this chart shows the 9 general categories that most of the violations fall into. Trash complaints are by far and large the largest number in volume, but the 3 that generate the most workload are zoning, multiple violations, which include a lot of apartment issues, that might range from an inspection having 5 to 20 violations to structure violations that might be an abandoned building that has a collapsed roof or other issues that prevent hazards. And if I'm going too fast, let me know. Just trying to keep it brief here. And one of my many hats of this job is to serve in the role as a city prosecutor independently, representing the city of Dover at the representing the city of Somersworth at Dover District Court. Since I started this position here in 2022, we've had, I'd say, an enhanced level of formal enforcement against, a large variety of different issues, ranging from absent landlords to business owners with violated site plans and absent, property owners. It's not our goal to take folks to court, but at the end of the day, if reaching compliance requires that level of enforcement, we do take it to that level. 2025 has been quite a busy year. We've had a record number of court complaints issued, currently tracking around 50, which is far and above the previous 2 years that are also elevated. Just some examples of what the work looks like that I do. This particular building is a 6-plex, had a rotting fire escape, worked with Somersworth Fire Department to make sure that the landlord built a code-compliant fire escape. It took about a year of going back and forth with the property owner, but at the end, you guys can see what the end result is. And this is all based, this particular item here was from a property maintenance code violation. So most of the things you'll see here tonight are applicable to the ordinance change that I'm hoping will be adopted. Another smaller violation, previous example was a safety issue. This one was a health hazard and quality of life issue. We had a leaking toilet, mold, the sink was leaking, there's no ventilation. The shower was leaking on the floor. There was just mold everywhere. The tenant came to my office for a resolution. After meeting with the landlord, we were able to get a new bathroom in a couple of weeks. So just another example, different scale, different application for the property maintenance code. Here's a house some of you might be familiar with. Beautiful historic home here in Somersworth. Over the last couple of years, the exterior has been deteriorating quite rapidly. I contacted the property owner, gave him a notice of violation, worked with them on a timeline to replace the rotting fascia, trim, siding, and peeling paint to have the house repaired. It's not just an aesthetic issue. The goal at the end of the day is to have a weather-tight home that doesn't become abandoned or, an eyesore to the city. But that was this particular case. The next one's a little different. It's kind of a combination of a property maintenance code violation and a zoning violation. At one point, this property had about 50 cars on the property. We went back and forth in court for quite a few years since I've started at this position. And it wasn't until in June we had the final court order to get this property cleaned up. More of a recent issue, this particular barn started to collapse last winter. Contacted the property owner, gave them a courtesy notice, ample time to demolish the building. This one's off Indigo Hill Road. You guys might have seen this property before. It's not only an eyesore, but it's an attractive place for kids to sneak in, bring their own set of issues. And the picture on the right is what you see today, recently. In addition to the property maintenance code, Manager Moore wanted me to highlight some other things going on. I've been doing a lot of administrative site plan review. I don't know how many of you folks are familiar with the site plan review process, but any business that comes in requires a site plan, and some of them have been in books for 20, 30 years, a lot of which has just kind of deteriorated over time. So I've taken about a dozen site plans per year since I started, just kind of going through them, making sure that the curbing's in place that's supposed to be there, maybe the drainage is supposed to be cleaned out on a yearly basis. This case, it's a property on Main Street. There's a lot of trash, a lot of invasive vines growing on the property. So just working with property owners to make sure their property is being taken care of. Just another example, barricades and parking lots. They're all part of a site plan. This particular business, I went to them after a vehicle had struck the barricade. I worked out a timeline, and the result is what you see. We have a new barricade, parking lot, striping. You know, it's not only a safety issue, but it's nice to have, you know, somebody give some attention to these properties. We have a few different properties on Walton's Way that were developed back in the 90s. Over the time, the properties have changed, but maybe the site plan has not. So I've been working on this particular property. It's obvious, it's Walmart. They've had a lot of landscaping issues. The property has not been kept up. So between this and the other properties on Walton's Way, it's a yearly basis, always trying to work with business owners to make sure that they take care of everything, the building down to the landscaping. Lastly, I'd also like to show you guys the process of some of these things. You might have looked at the manager's report and noticed that some of these have been on there for over a year. And some of them are complex, and they bring on their nuanced challenges. But basically, every issue starts with a courtesy notice. It's not a legally binding document. It's just a notice that I send out to folks, informing them of the violation that's taken place, with an expected date to clear out that violation. If that violation's not cleared out, notice of violation is issued. Whether or not this is a zoning issue or a property maintenance code issue, you'll receive the same notice. And what the notice has is the property information, the complaint, the resolution expected from the city with a deadline, and the required legal language per state RSA 676-17. If you haven't complied with the courtesy notice, this is what you can expect to get in the mail. I'm always willing to work with people, but at the end of the day, this is a legally binding document that takes precedence. And if it continues on a path of noncompliance, I will issue a local ordinance citation and summons with Dover District Court. And hopefully through this process, of the court process, it can be resolved. It happens all the time. We get to court and things shake out in the end, which you'll see in the next slide is just an agreement form at Dover District Court. You know, we're always seeking code compliance. We're not looking to collect fines. At the end of the day, we just want code compliant buildings and properties. Just lastly, a couple quick notes. why it's important to update the property maintenance code. I don't know if you guys are familiar with our other codes, but we have the International Building Code, Residential Code, Existing Building Code, and Energy Code, which are all automatically updated through the state. Currently, we're at the 2021 edition. I'm hoping that the council will update this to the 2021 edition for the property maintenance code so that language is standardized across the board. Right now, we kind of have a patchwork of regulations. The language that I might be using in the property maintenance code doesn't perfectly align with, the residential code or the building code that we have today. It gives the city a modern stance with the other codes and really strengthens the legal defensibility when I have to take these matters to court. So with that, I'll end my presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
We'll offer up questions or comments from councilors, if any have some tonight. Councilor Vincent.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Just a little bit of history. I was actually the first property maintenance code guy here in 1996 when the city brought it on. And besides safety, which is the most important thing, is that it has a direct property value effect. So if your neighbor's a slob, so to speak, I hate to use that word, but they have a dilapidated home, and I have a beautiful home, it can actually affect your property by hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I think that the property maintenance code is a very valuable code, and I think that I urge all councilors to vote for this.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councilor Witham.
Yeah, thank you, Shane, for your work. It's notable throughout the city. I know you're not always greeted with a warm reception, I'm sure, but it's important work. And I will just share, in my tenure on council, there has been no single issue that has garnered more support from the council across the board than a desire to be rather aggressive with regard to property maintenance here in the city. I appreciate the process of, the courtesy notice and then, perhaps working all the way up to an official notice that brings one to court. And there are properties that the courtesy notice works, but there are others where we need to be aggressive, and I do appreciate the work that you and the team do with those particular cases. So thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from council? Yes, Councilor Barry.
I understand that sometimes when these matters go to court, we're not necessarily getting the outcome because it's giving a lot more time to the people to go back and say, I'll take care of it, I'll take care of it. Are we still seeing that trend, or are the courts finally kind of going where they want it taken care of right when we bring it to them?
When I take matters to court, I have a very good working relationship with the current judges on the bench because I've had so many cases with them. I think after the first couple months of doing this, when I started this position, they kind of caught on that there's a lot of folks that are taking advantage of the system, and at this point, they might ask for a continuance once or twice, but at the end of the day, time runs out for folks if they're not bringing the properties to compliance. This particular issue with the junkyard on Main Street, the gentleman had done the same thing, received continuance after continuance, and the judge basically said, look, if you don't get this property into compliance, you'll be spending the weekends in, jail, basically. So time runs out, unfortunately, and, we do our best. It's not always the outcome we're looking for, but it's a long process, and every case has different resolution, but we're always working towards, the best resolution possible.
City Manager Moore. So
Just in summary, I just wanted to recognize and thank Shane for putting this together. It's having the opportunity to see a few code enforcement operations up front professionally. I came to be extraordinarily impressed by what Director Mears and Shane Conlon have been stewarding as a staff here in Somersworth. And we're very fortunate to have the level of professionalism and care taken in these cases, the skill, the communication, and really the commitment to following through is really exceptional, to the point where I understand he's quite in demand on the training front for other people who become aware of Shane's prowess, style, and track record with the bench. It's a wonderful asset for us. And I want to thank him and Director Mears for the effort, and appreciate you putting it together.
All right. Well, if there are no more questions, we'll let you close out. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Have any members from the Indonesian Community Connect arrived? They did have a presentation scheduled. Seems as if not. At the very least, I will let folks know that this upcoming Saturday on December 12th, there is going to be the Indonesian festival at Somersworth High School from 12 to 4 p.m. High school's address is 11 Memorial Drive, and we hope everyone can attend. All right, that will bring us to item 5 on the agenda, which are scheduled public hearings. Tonight we have 4 public hearings scheduled. I will now open the public hearing for ordinance 4-26, which is to amend chapter 12, streets and sidewalks section by adding section 12, penalties, amending section 12.2, use of sidewalks, and amending section 12.5, snow and ice. Is there anyone who wishes to speak towards ordinance 4-26? Anyone who wishes to speak towards ordinance 4-26? Okay, seeing none, we will close out the public hearing on ordinance 4-26. I'll now open the public hearing on ordinance 5-26, which is to amend chapter 24, property maintenance code. Is there anyone who wishes to speak towards ordinance 5-26? Anyone for ordinance 5-26? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing on ordinance 5-26. I will now open the public hearing for resolution 12-26, which is to appropriate funds from the state revolving loan fund for improvements to the water treatment plant. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak towards resolution 12-26? Anyone for resolution 12-26? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing on resolution 12-26. I will now open the public hearing on resolution 13-26, which is to appropriate funds from the state revolving loan fund for improvements to the Main Street water utilities. Is there anyone who wishes to speak towards resolution 13-26? Going once. All right, I will close the public hearing on resolution 13-26. That brings us to item 6, which is comments by visitors. Somersworth City Council and Mayor's Office welcome all visitors and encourage you to voice your opinions and views at council meetings. In accordance with Council Rule 7-C, a time limit of 5 minutes per person shall be in effect unless the council wishes to suspend the rules. Speakers shall not enter into a debate with any persons, the mayor, council members, city manager, or department heads. Is there anyone who wishes to speak this evening? Thank you. If you could state your name and the ward in which you live.
My name is Ethan Clark, Ward 1. First, I want to give special thanks to Marty Pepin and Councilor Paul Goodwin. Councilor Pepin, your contribution to this community and longstanding commitment to preserve and defend its values is something I will always admire. Thank you for serving our city as long as you have. When I see and read our city motto, proud past, bright future, I can say with complete certainty that you have served your community to the best of your ability and represent that motto to the fullest. Thank you. Councilor Goodwin, I want to thank you for the countless hours of research and the commitment you have given our city and to the contributions to the city's economic and housing development. Your attention to the details and the math is exactly what our city needed. Even when the right answer wasn't the most popular, you made sure to form opinions based on data, research, and the future well-being of our community, not just the immediate benefits. Although I have personal differences on your position on certain matters, your approach with addressing community differences and the importance of citizens actually getting involved in their communities and working together for a common purpose, even through those differences, gives me hope for how we can succeed in the future, not only as a city, also as a nation as well. So thank you very much for your contributions. In many cases, public service is a thankless job, so I want to make sure that you both understand with sincerity my deepest appreciation for what you've done for our city. Thank you very much. In that same spirit of working together, of what unites us, I want to focus on a few recent matters within the city. First is the conduct of this council and this chamber as we enter the new year. Last month, our current sitting president, Donald Trump, was criticized for, I'm going to quote it here, choosing not to feed millions of Americans, not because there are not funds to do so, but because he does not want to direct those funds. Another statement was made that he's allowing people to go hungry, another that he's a power-hungry person, and that now responsibility falls on us at the local level, and that we are our citizens' last hope. This type of rhetoric and agenda is exactly what is dividing our nations and communities, and it starts here in local communities like ours. Whether you like him or not, Donald Trump is the United States president and deserves the citizens' respect as such. He's not the sole reason that the people in the U.S. went without last month. There is guilt on both sides of the aisle, but he was the only one that was mentioned. I also want to make very clear that I am not a ride-or-die Trump supporter. There are very many aspects about him personally and his policies that I disagree with. As a citizen of Somersworth, I am tired of hearing the members of this chamber and this council constantly point the finger at our state and federal governments rather than focusing on what we can do at the local community level to help our neighbors. Because in bad times, that's what Americans do. We help our neighbors. I want to commend Councilor Berry and Councilor Witham. Through the years, both of you have always focused on how we can bring it back to a local level and not dwell on these national, federal issues. You guys don't point out specific politicians. You always bring it back to the local level and what we can do for our neighbors to make it better. Although the $10,000 donation was a nice gesture, I feel as though it was a loss behind the rest of Mr. Girding's rant on President Trump. Franklin Roosevelt, our nation's 32nd president, had a speech where he stated federal power is necessary, but it must be a supplement, not a substitute for the local initiative. In this statement, he's emphasizing that federal government's role is to support, not to replace local action. The success of Somersworth citizens starts with us. We are not our citizens' last hope when the government fails. We are their first. Last month, there were also comments made in this chamber regarding the Flock of Eagles Memorial at Citizens Place. For the citizens at home that are not aware, the Ten Commandments displayed in downtown was not set there by a church, but by a local fraternal order of Eagles in memory of their departed brothers in May of 1958. The city accepted this memorial, and it has stood there ever since. The purpose of raising a flag is to foster patriotism and to bring diverse people together under a common identity and purpose. In my humble opinion, Somersworth flag policy has done anything but that, and it divides us more than it unites us. If the city wants to raise flags other than the United States flag, the state of New Hampshire's flag, or the flag of the city of Somersworth, then raise those flags on the pole right next to the building right by the steps. This would solve most all the issues that divide us when certain flags are risen. The Christian community in Somersworth is very passionate about this memorial in our community, and for obvious reasons. We as Christians have the right and freedom to have a memorial that displays our passion just as any other group does. I also wanted on record that in this chamber that I have spoken with local Christian leadership in Somersworth, and they are willing to discuss purchasing the property from the city if the city is willing to release it, which would also release the city of any conflict for the memorial being displayed in the future.
Mr. Clark, you are at your 5 minutes.
Can I request an extension?
Move that we waive rules to allow him to continue.
We have
I'll
a
second
motion
that.
And a second to waive rules or suspend rules to allow for Mr. Clark to continue. I'm just going to do a quick roll call vote. If you're in favor, you'll say by saying aye. If you're opposed, you'll say by saying nay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Mr. Clark, you may continue.
Last item that I want to bring up is just the Ordinance 6-26, the supplemental appropriation for the construction of a warming shelter on county property. I by no means want to deny people a warm place to be able to sleep, or obviously the contribution this can have. I do feel as though for our city specifically, this is a slippery slope, just based on some recent data as of today. Dover's residents, 33,909. Rochester's, 33,598. Somersworth, 12,218. Currently budgeted is $256,000, $256,278, and the amendment that's going to be voted on is another $484,000 for a revised budget of $740,000. That building that they're currently in Somersworth was purchased by the city of Dover for $749,000. So my question to the council is, we currently have a shortage that we need to pay our teachers' health insurance just over $400,000. If we can't pay our teachers' health insurance bill, I don't think we should be contributing to a county warming shelter. I think we're obviously outnumbered 3-1 by these surrounding cities. I think if they go in on this, we can still buy that building, especially if we're going to budget $740,000, and we can service the members of our community that need that assistance. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? Anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay, we will close our public hearing, or excuse me, our comments by visitors section. It'll bring us to item 7, which is approval of the consent calendar. The chair will obtain a motion to approve the consent calendar, which includes the minutes of the city council non-public meeting held on November 10th, 2025, and the minutes of our regular city council meeting held on November 10th, 2025. Do I have a motion? Councilor Pepin? Thank you. Councilor Pepin moves that the consent calendar be approved as presented, seconded by Councilor Cameron. The question for the council is on the adoption of the consent calendar. If you're in favor of the motion, you'll state by saying aye. If you're opposed, you'll state by saying nay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, ayes appear to have it. Ayes have it. Consent calendar is adopted. Item 8 on the agenda is presentations of written communication and petitions. Tonight we have one communication. City Clerk, will you please read the email correspondence from Don Austin regarding Ordinance 4-26?
From Donald Austin, sent Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Hello all, I was reading through the amendment proposed in Ordinance 426 and hope you might consider the following comment to adjust the definition of vehicle. The definition of a vehicle will specifically exclude all devices other than wagons, strollers, carriages, or other such conveyances used to transport children. My question comes to wheelchairs. They are similar to the items used to transport children, except they are used to transport disabled individuals. Would a strict reading of the proposed ordinance cause a person in a wheelchair to be in violation? If so, perhaps the proposal could be amended to allow for the use of wheelchairs on sidewalks. I am planning to attend the next council meeting, but wanted you to have time to think about this prior to the second reading. Thank you for your consideration. Don Austin.
Thank you. All right. That'll bring us to item 9, which is the mayor's report. First up tonight, I have an update on the approval of the Tri-Cities agreement for building a warming center at the Stratford County Complex. Before us this evening is the first reading of Ordinance 6-26, which is a supplemental appropriation for the construction of the warming shelter on county property. As was discussed when council approved the memorandum of understanding earlier this year, back in October, I believe, in regards to the construction of the new warming center, the city would be expected to pay for the costs of the construction of the new center. Budgeting has been completed. The RFP process is now closing out, and the Tri-Cities are looking for up to $3.5 million total for the new building and furnishings that go with it. As was agreed upon by the 3 cities within the MOU that we agreed to, Dover, Rochester, and Somersworth will split the total cost of that project based on our 2024 equalized assessed valuation, meaning the cost will be shared based on how much value each of these cities have within their property. Somersworth's necessary commitment to the $3.5 million would only be 13.85% of that total number, which brings us to the $484,000 plus. To reach the final amount, Dover plans to provide $1.7 million in funds. Rochester plans to provide $1.3 million, and we are last with $484,000. I'm respectfully requesting through Ordinance 6-26 that the council approve this additional $484,000 from our unassigned fund balance to the community support section of our budget, specifically to address this cost and to accommodate for the expense. As I've said before, this is going to be a major step forward for our 3 cities. It would allow us to build an appropriate and much better suited building to provide winter warming to our most at-risk residents, because the current center that we've been utilizing for the past 5 or 6 years does not have adequate or it doesn't have ideal services, and specifically 1 bathroom, 1 shower. It's limited in what it has. It would also locate these winter warming services in a more ideal location, which would be closer to services for the individuals as well as closer to bus routes. And it would also allow the county to eventually take over the operations of the facility, thus removing this expense for the warming center from our own annual city budget. So yes, it's an upfront expense at this time, but eventually down the road would be cost savings because the county would become responsible for this and its operations year in and year out. No longer would it just be the 3 cities, but we would have those costs distributed within the county's budget. But certainly beyond this, I think it would serve as a major accomplishment for our 3 cities who have long sought out a better solution to addressing and assisting our unhoused residents. So in order to deliver funds for construction by the requested date of December 31st of this year, which was requested by the county commissioner in his letter to us, which hopefully you've all received, I am requesting that we held a special council meeting to be held next week on Monday, December 15th at 7 p.m. So I want to make sure this works for folks here in the council. Just quick thumbs up, just to make sure everyone's okay with that. The 15th, Monday, a week from today. It looks like everyone's all right with that. So we will schedule that meeting. We will also schedule the public hearing for Ordinance 6-26 for that evening as well. Hopefully we can get this moving so that we can begin building in time to have this operational for next winter. All right, thank you. Next up, I would also like to officially recognize our outgoing counselors this evening. I would first like to recognize Councillor Goodwin. In your time on council, you have certainly made an outsized impact on housing and economic development in our city. You have not only educated me, but I believe this council and hopefully this city on things such as economics, housing trends, and best practices for development here within Somersworth. No matter the size or scale of the project, you have successfully advocated for long-time needs within our city, such as new pedestrian-friendly crosswalks at the intersection of High Street and Constitutional Way, a facelift to our plaza, and the completion of additional chapters of our city's master plan. You have overseen smooth transitions to a new city manager and provided valuable insights into hiring practices and expectations. But above all else, you have been a tireless champion for the potential of this city, never undervaluing or overstepping the needs of our residents. You've put people first, helped the city begin to process healing our long-term development-related trauma. You've ushered in a new era of revitalization in the city as well. I expect, as I'm sure my colleagues here in the council do as well, that you will not be a stranger, so please keep coming by. And I hope that we can continue to learn from you and have you present at our council meetings as we need. But also I hope that you serve the city in whatever capacity you're able to, because I think you are a vital resource for us. So I'm so fortunate to have been able to serve with you, and I really wish you well on your next endeavors. And I have a little gift. You don't have my germs. But really, thank you. Didn't know you were getting something. All right. Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. All right. Also this evening, City Council and myself would like to formally recognize Councillor Martin Pepin for your many, many years of dedication and service to the city of Somersworth. As a lifelong resident of Somersworth, Councillor Pepin, you have brought to this council not only experience and leadership, but a deep and genuine understanding of the city in which we all live and which you and us all call home. Throughout your tenure on the City Council, you have been a steady and committed presence, offering thoughtful insights, practical judgments. You've had an unwavering dedication to serving the residents here in this city. You have served on numerous boards and committees, and you've been reliable. You've provided tons of institutional knowledge and background on things that I didn't know about, and I'm sure others didn't as well. And you have a sincere commitment that has been essential to allowing for this body to work progressively towards tackling so many of the issues that we've seen. In your many years in municipal government, you have served the community as a member of the Somersworth Fire Department. You've demonstrated courage, responsibility, and a strong dedication to public safety. You've been willing to step forward in service to others and have been that's been a defining characteristic throughout your entire life. Councillor Pepin, you've also been a longstanding supporter of the Somersworth Festival Association. You've been involved in helping uphold civic pride and unity that has defined us here in Somersworth. In addition, you've been an active member at St. Ignatius of Loyola Parish, where you've continued to this day to give time and support to any of the parish programs. Your faith-based volunteerism reflects the same humility and generosity that marks your public service here at City Hall. Across all your roles as firefighter, counselor, volunteer, community member, Councillor Pepin, you have exemplified integrity, dedication, and a genuine commitment to the well-being of the city of Somersworth. You've been a dependable colleague, a steady leader, a true advocate for this community that you proudly represent. You have witnessed and overseen this city through numerous decades, innumerable projects, and many, many ups and downs. Though you would never take credit for any of the successes that you've overseen, because I know you are very humble and team-focused, I can say with confidence that the successes of this city are thanks to you and your dedication, your advocacy, and your spirit. You bore witness to a thriving, vibrant city and have worked tirelessly to bring back the energy and potential that you know our city contains. You have chaired and championed countless projects that have benefited the lives of thousands of residents, such as, for example, the construction of our new fire station. And I know that not only am I thankful for this dedication, but the entire city of Somersworth thanks you for everything that you've done. Tonight, on behalf of the city of Somersworth, we extend our deepest appreciation to you, Councillor Pepin, for your years of service and for the lasting impact that you have had here in Somersworth. So thank you so, so much. You're welcome. I'd first like to invite you down and invite up our fire chief and members of the fire department who have a gift specifically for you. So if you'll join them at the podium, that would be much appreciated. I'll invite folks up for that.
So Cap, here this evening, you have both current and former members of the Somersworth. Here to present you with a token of our gratitude for your 50 years of service. Plaque reads, Martin Pepin, in honor of a lifetime of service as a fire captain, city councilor, and trusted civic leader. For more than 50 years, you have devoted your life to protecting, guiding, and improving the lives of those who call Somersworth home. Eternally yours, Somersworth Fire Department.
Am I supposed to say something?
No, we got two more things for you. Don't you go anywhere.
You're not ready yet. You gotta hold on.
Councillor Vincent will now present one additional gift, and then we have one final.
Well, Marty, we've known each other for a long time here, and not just at the fire department, beyond that. I landed here after I retired, kind of like you did. And, serving on the Public Works Committee with you, I just felt it would be an honor that we have a street named after you.
That's so awesome.
So congratulations, buddy.
All right, and one more final thing. Don't go anywhere yet.
Can I say
We're not
that?
done.
We got one more. One more.
I wanted to get into politics then.
Simmer down.
Glad I brought my truck.
Oh, it's kept on the
And as is tradition, who have served for a certain number of years, present you with this rocking chair from the city seal, thanks to your dedication to the city.
Beautiful. I guess I'm the right age for it too, I guess.
But yeah, if you have anything you'd like to share, you're welcome to. You're not expected. But thank you.
I had a few words to say a little bit beforehand, just thanking the people of Ward 1 keeping me electing me and being able to serve. When I left the fire department, it was one of the hardest things I did was walk out of that building because I didn't really want to go, but my body was telling me it was time to go. I still wanted to be able to continue serving the city in some type of a way, so I ran for city council. Why I did that, I don't know till this day, but it's been a joy. It gave me I thought I was only going to be a one-term council member simply because they closed Hilltop School, and most of the people in our ward wanted to keep that school open. And I said, I'm going to be a short-term councilman, that's for sure. And I have to thank the people on top of the hill and stuff like that. They invited me in their houses to talk. I know I went to 3 different houses with groups of the neighbors up there to talk the situation over and stuff like that. And it's deeply appreciated. They were very, very polite and cordial to me. And it's very, very deeply appreciated. There's one thing about the fire department. I don't know which one I love the most, the city of Somersworth or the fire department. My heart has always been there. I owe so much. I owe so much to the mayor, the former mayors, that Mayor Hilliard. He actually put me on the feasibility committee for the fire station, also on the chair of the building committee for it. I've served on the building committee for Idlehurst School and for the revamp of Maplewood School, and it has opened the door for me to basically give back to the city. I had a very, very small part in it, but I appreciate all the help that I had to get there. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
This is truly a fire drill if you see this happen.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Congratulations, Marty. Right, that brings us to item 11. Oh, no, I'm sorry, item 10. I almost skipped. Item 10, which is our city manager's report. City Manager Moore, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want a few items related to your ordinances and resolutions. You heard the clerk read the communication from resident and city-elect member Don Austin related to what we on staff reviewed and agreed with was a good change and clarification for the ordinance before you. We're here at second reading. In my report to you, I have a suggested motion if you would consider making an amendment to what you would ultimately pass that would be inclusive and responsive to the comments made by the councilor-elect. That language is on page 2. So again, 2 motions, 1 to amend and 1 to accept the entire ordinance. I don't think I have anything to improve upon the preparation for the property maintenance code beyond what Shane Conlon presented earlier. I thank the council for the attention and time dedicated to that important topic tonight. I also believe we have well covered the ground both in committees as well as at this council related to the strategy, rationale, and funding favorable funding associated with the two resolutions in 1226 and 1326 related to the investments in our water system. The mayor spoke to the first reading tonight for the supplemental appropriation for the construction of the warming shelter. The mayor pointed to the public hearing at your next meeting. Certainly, if there are questions that the councilors have, I'd be happy to ensure that they're answered as best as I can heading into your public hearing next Monday, the 15th at 7 p.m. I also want to draw attention to the fact that the amount being requested is for $484,000. The sum referenced tonight in your the ordinance as drafted relates to the community support line item in your budget, which we are appropriating funds for that line item and have identified it as such. So that total of some $740,000 is being added to what was appropriated during the budgeting process to begin with. Again, if there's more clarifications needed on that, please let me know, and I'll be happy to provide them in preparation for next Monday. The other item requiring action is related to the good work of our city clerk in stewarding the historic records for the city of Somersworth, securing some $8,500, which we recommend and ask that you accept this evening. And then I would move forward in contracting with the state of New Hampshire accordingly. There are several informational items available that I would draw your attention to, going on a full page. I'm very pleased to say that the lot line adjustment for the 15 Blackwater Road property, a National Guard Readiness Center, was recorded today, paving way for the receipt of a check tomorrow of some $379,000, and then the collection of the other closing documents also for recording. I think by the end of the day tomorrow, it's safe to say we will no longer be owners of that property, and we'll have completed that transaction in full. Members of the public may be interested in an upcoming meeting. That is tomorrow, 1 o'clock at the Traffic Safety Committee. We have a representative from NHDOT attending in order to review with the committee two recently completed roadway safety audits by the state of New Hampshire, one for West High Street, Maple Street, and Sunset Drive intersection, and the other for the intersection at Old Rochester Road and Blackwater Road. We know the discussion of the Old Rochester Road is of interest to members of our public. I'm sure there will be issues touched on there related to the roadway overall, even though that's not the entire purpose of having DOT there. We are working with DOT, as you also saw in my informational items, to participate in one of their upcoming meetings, to which Dover and Rochester have been invited for the purposes of discussing the recent fatality and tragedy on Old Rochester Road. There's a note in there related to the solar facility at the city's landfill. The Amoresco, in short, was hoping to be operational by the end of the year, December. Looks like they're going to be making that. So a good development there, and certainly they're on track. I'd call your attention to the inauguration details for January 6th, as well as this coming Friday's council orientation. We've got a great attendance coming up. We have got a great refresher program on the right to know law, as well as presentations the department heads are putting thought into related to the orientation for not only the new members, but any city council members who choose to stay with us throughout the day. We look forward to it as a staff. We look forward to being with you for lunch and preparing for January. Mr. Mayor, I think that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. That brings us to item 11, which is reports of standing committees, special committees, and city officers. First up, we have the Finance Committee, Chair Witham.
No report.
Thank you. Next is Government Operations Committee, Chair Mishu.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Next is Economic Development Committee, Chair Goodwin.
No report.
Thank you. Next is Public Safety Committee, Chair Pepin.
No report.
Thank you. Next is Public Works and the Environment Committee, Chair Witham.
It snowed last week, otherwise, no report.
That was good. And then lastly, Recreation Committee, Chair Cameron.
Following suit,
Wow, we did it. I don't know if that's a home run or what, but I don't do sports, but that was impressive. I'm shocked. All right. Are there any reports of special committees? Yes, Councilor Goodwin.
No report, but just a note for you that as part of sort of my swan song, I am anticipating to provide some closeout documentation for the Eyes on 30 committee, which was largely defunct due to my failure. But the prior committee had created a list of recommendations that we were working to refine and that I would recommend the city take into consideration in the master planning process that is going forward, as there are a lot of vision ideas there. So I will provide that to you before the end of the year.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Other reports of special committees? Okay, seeing none. Any reports of city officers? Seeing none either. All right, we will move on. Next on the agenda is nominations, appointments, and elections. We have none this evening, so it can bring us to item 13, which is items laid on the table. We also have none of those. Brings us to item 14, considerations of ordinances and resolution. The chair will recognize the city clerk for a second reading of ordinance 4-26, which is to amend chapter 12, streets and sidewalks section by adding section 12 penalties, amending section 12.2 use of sidewalks, and amending section 12.5 snow and ice. City clerk.
Ordinance number 426, to amend Chapter 12, Streets and Sidewalks, section by adding Section 12.0, penalties, amending Section 12.2, use of sidewalks, and amending Section 12.5, snow and ice.
Thank you. Ordinance 4-26, having been read a first and now second time, is open to amendment. Councilor Witham?
Yes, I'd like to propose an amendment to ordinance 4-26. In the section 12.2, which notes exceptions. I'd like to amend the proposed ordinance and replace this clause in section 12.2 with, except for strollers, wagons, carriages, or other methods of transporting small children, as well as wheelchairs and other methods of providing transportation for elderly or disabled individuals.
I'll second that.
We're adding the wheelchairs and other methods of transportation for elderly and disabled.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a motion and a second by Councilor Vincent. Thank you. So again, the motion is to include in section 12.2 wheelchairs and other modes of transportation for elderly and disabled. Is that correct? Does that capture your motion? Perfect. Thank you. If you are in favor of the motion, you'll state by saying, or no, should I open it up to discussion? My apologies. The motion being on the table, is there any discussion? We'll do Councilor Witham and then Goodwin.
Yes, thank you. I did review the state RSA with regard to this matter, and it appears in reading through that there is an exemption for wheelchairs and I think they talk about tricycle-like devices, but it's not terribly clear, so I appreciate the clarity afforded by the amendment, actually baking it into our ordinance, so it's not so nebulous, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Goodwin?
Yeah, I think it's a good clarification. I do think, I don't know, to me it's still a little ambiguous. I'm going to vote in favor of it, but I'm waiting for the time that an elderly person on like an electrical scooter is just like, but I'm elderly and it's transportation, and that would be covered under providing transportation, other methods of transportation for the elderly, right? So it's just kind of like, I think there's a little wiggle room here that I wouldn't personally want, but I think it's fine.
Other discussion? Councilor Berry?
Just a side note, similar, we had discussed this when this first came up in committee, and we had talked about it, wondering that we didn't want to hold this up, and that knowing that other amendments could come along as needed as things arise at the city. So I'm going to vote in favor with that in mind, knowing that other things could arise that would amend this as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Other discussion? Okay, seeing none. If you're in favor of the amendment, you'll say by saying yes. If you're opposed, you'll say by saying no. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Witham.
Yes.
Goodwin.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Michaud.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 4-26 has been amended. All right, I'll still be looking for a motion now that we have amended ordinance 4-26 on the amended version of ordinance 4-26. Councilor Witham.
Yeah, move for the adoption of ordinance 4-26 as amended.
Councilor
second
Witham
that.
moves to the adoption of ordinance 4-26 as amended, seconded by Councilor Vincent. Discussion. Okay, seeing none, if you're in favor of the adoption of ordinance 4-26, you'll say by saying yes. If you're not, you'll say by saying no. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Witham.
Yes.
Goodwin.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Michaud.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 4-26 has been adopted as amended. Thank you. The chair will recognize the city clerk for a second reading of ordinance 5-26, which is to amend chapter 24 property maintenance code. City clerk.
Ordinance number 526 to amend chapter 24 property maintenance code.
Thank you. Ordinance 5-26 have been read a first and now second time is open to further amendment. No amendment being offered. I'll look for a motion on ordinance 5-26. Councilor Vincent.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, so move that.
All right, Councilor Vincent moves for the adoption of ordinance 5-26, seconded by Councilor Barry. Motion for the council is on the adoption of ordinance 5-26. Discussion. Councilor Barry.
I'm in favor of this. I think it's something that needed to be done, and I think it's just going to help us maintain our city to a standard that we want. So,
Thank you. Other discussion? Okay, seeing none. If you're in favor of ordinance 5-26, you'll state by saying yes. If you're not, you'll state by saying no. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Michaud.
Yes.
Witham.
Yes.
Goodwin.
Yes.
Cameron.
yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 5-26 has been adopted. Thank you. City Clerk is recognized for a second reading on Resolution 12-26, which is to appropriate funds from the State Revolving Loan Fund for improvements to the water treatment plant. City Clerk.
Resolution number 1226 to appropriate funds from the State Revolving Loan Fund for improvements to the water treatment plant.
Thank you. Resolution 12-26 have been read a first and now second time is open to further amendment. Seeing none, if you're in favor, oh, sorry, oh my gosh, my brain. The
I'll
chair,
help you along. I'll move
thank
that.
you, yeah, make a motion.
I move for the adoption of resolution
Thank
1226.
you. Councilor Witham moves for, excuse me, I'm falling apart. Moves for the adoption of resolution 12-26. Seconded by, was that Councilor Goodwin?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Discussion. Councilor Witham and then Barry.
Thank you. Both this resolution and the next resolution, 13-26, speak to our use of the state revolving loan fund. And I think the important piece for the public, both for the improvements of the water treatment plant and the replacement of the water main on Main Street from John Parsons to Indigo Hill, is the loan forgiveness aspect of utilization of these revolving loan funds. In sum total, we're going to have loan forgiveness north of $3 million. This is significant to do these important infrastructure upgrades. So just very positive, and I would like to give a shout out to city staff that recognized the availability, particularly for the next resolution for the water main, and the ability to tap into these revolving loan funds for that and the loan forgiveness associated. It's super positive for such sizable infrastructure improvements. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Barry?
I'm going to second that, and I'm also going to say that I'm a big fan of these types of things where we're looking forward and we're getting ahead before anything happens, and also looking at growth and making sure we're there for it. So I'm perfectly in favor of both this and also the next one in that same mindset.
Thank you. Other discussion? Seeing none, if you're in favor of the adoption of resolution 12-26, you'll state by saying yes. If you're not, you'll state by saying no. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Witham.
Yes.
Goodwin.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Michaud.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 12-26 has been adopted. City Clerk is recognized for a second reading of Resolution 13-26, which is to appropriate funds from the State Revolving Loan Fund for improvements to the Main Street water utilities. City Clerk.
Resolution number 1326 to appropriate funds from the State Revolving Loan Fund for improvements to the Main Street water utilities.
All right, Resolution 13-26 have been read a first and now second time is open to amendment. Seeing no amendment, Chair will look for a motion on Resolution 13-26. Councillor Barry.
I move to adopt the motion as stated.
Councillor Barry moves for the adoption of Resolution 13-26, seconded by Councillor Witham. Motion for the council is on the adoption of Resolution 13-26. Discussion? Seeing none. All right. If you're in favor of the adoption of Resolution 13-26, you'll state by saying yes. If you're not, you'll state by saying no. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Witham.
Yes.
Goodwin.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Isho.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 13-26 has been adopted. All right. City Clerk is now recognized for a first reading of Ordinance 6-26, which is the supplemental appropriation for the construction of a warming center on county property. City Clerk.
Ordinance number 626, supplemental appropriation for the construction of a warming shelter on county property, December 8, 2025. The City of Somersworth ordains that pursuant to Section 7.7A of the City Charter, the annual budget for the City of Somersworth for fiscal year 2025-2026 is amended as follows. Appropriate $484,593 from the unassigned fund balance to the community support budget as follows. Budget, $256,278. Amendment, $484,593. Revised budget, $740,871. Approved as to funding, Jordan Miles, Director of Finance Administration. Recorded by Kristen LePan, City Clerk. Background. This ordinance appropriates funding to further the warming shelter project to be built on county property. Estimated projected cost total up to $3.5 million. This estimate includes all fixtures and furnishings. Necessary demolition activities are expected to take place this winter to enable early spring construction in order to have the warming shelter available for the 2026-2027 cold weather season. The agreement between the cities of Dover, Rochester, and Somersworth is to prorate each community's share of the construction costs using their proportion of the county's equalized assessed valuation. Using the 2024 equalized valuation, Somersworth's share of the project would be 13.85% or $484,592 of the $3.5 million construction cost. This will increase the use of fund balance for FY 2025-2026 from $2,427,863 to $2,912,456. This ordinance requires a public hearing and requires a 2/3 majority vote of the City Council after the public hearing, subject to Section 7.4.1 and Section 7.7A of the City Charter. Sponsored by Mayor Matt Girding, approved City Attorney.
Thank you. Ordinance 6-26 having been read first time will remain in first reading until our newly scheduled special council meeting on December 15th, at which time there will also be a public hearing. City Clerk is recognized for a first reading on Resolution 15-26, which is the proclamation declaring January Diversity Month in the City of Somersworth. City Clerk.
Resolution number 1526, proclamation declaring January Diversity Month in the City of Somersworth, December 8, 2025. Whereas January 15, 2026 will mark the 97th birthday of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and whereas the dream of equal treatment is the foundation of human rights and democratic values, and whereas our nation has worked towards the goal of fulfillment of this commitment for over 245 years, and whereas the City of Somersworth has become a model of a community which embraces and promotes its diversity, and whereas the City of Somersworth is committed to the values of equality and liberty stated in the Declaration of Independence, United States Constitution, New Hampshire State Constitution, and City Charter. And whereas the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us that freedom, liberty, and equality must be protected for all citizens, and that from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Somersworth encourages all residents, including community groups, schools, and institutions, to continue to work towards fulfilling Dr. King's dream of the elimination of all barriers to the fulfillment of equal opportunities and human rights. And the City of Somersworth calls upon all citizens to reflect during this month on the message of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and commit themselves throughout the year to join the fight for the elimination of all forms of discrimination and disadvantage, and to ensure that everyone has the right to live in conditions of dignity, respect, and peace. And the Somersworth Mayor and City Council hereby declare that January 2026 be Diversity and Equality Month in the City of Somersworth, and that the city of Somersworth, along with all of its citizens, hereby recommits itself to the fulfillment of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. Sponsored by Mayor Matt Girding, approved city attorney.
Thank you. As is tradition, I'll look for a suspension of council rules for a second reading on Resolution 15-26. Councilor Vincent.
I'd like to suspend council rules for second reading.
Councilor Vincent makes a
Second.
motion to suspend council rules for a second reading of Resolution 15-26, seconded by Councilor Witham. Question for the council is on the suspension of council rules for a second reading. If you're in favor, please state by saying aye. If you're opposed, please state, oh my gosh, please state no. All in favor.
Aye.
All opposed. All right, thank you. Council rules are suspended. We'll now have a second reading on Resolution 15-26.
Resolution number 1526, proclamation declaring January Diversity Month in the city of Somersworth.
Thank you. Resolution 15-26, having been read a first and now second time, is open to further amendment. Seeing no amendment, I'll look for a motion on Resolution 15-26. Councilor Goodwin.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt.
Councilor Witham. Oh my God, Witham. I'm looking at Witham. Goodwin. God, you guys, what is wrong with me tonight? Goodwin moves for the adoption of Resolution 15-26, seconded by Councilor Michaud. The motion for the council is on the adoption of Resolution 15-26. Discussion. All right, seeing none, if you're in favor of the adoption of Resolution 15-26, you'll state by saying yes. If you are not, you'll state by saying no. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Goodwin.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Michaud.
Yes.
Witham.
Yes.
All right, Resolution 15-26 has been adopted. Thank you. All right, brings us to item 15 on the agenda, which is city manager items requiring action. Tonight we have a vote authorizing our city manager to enter into an agreement with the New Hampshire Department of Natural and Cultural Resources State Library for the preservation of Somersworth vital records. What are the wishes of the council? Councilor Witham.
Move that the city council endorse the entering into said agreement.
Councilor Witham moves that we accept the grant to enter into the agreement, seconded by Councilor Barry. Motion for the council is that we accept the grant and enter into the agreement with the New Hampshire Department of Natural Resources. Discussion. Councilor Barry.
I know this kind of seems kind of obvious, but I don't think people understand that it is very vital to have our records and to have them maintained correctly and appropriately so that future generations can access them for research, other things. So I will always be in support of doing this in the way that it needs to be done.
Thank you so much. Other discussion? All right, seeing none. If you're in favor of the motion, you'll state by saying yes. If you're not, you'll state by saying no. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Witham.
Yes.
Goodwin.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Michaud.
Yes.
All right, the grant is accepted. Thank you. All right, under item 16 is other. We have none. Brings us to item 17, which is councilors seeking to be recognized. Councilor Pepin, I'll lead with you this evening.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'd like to thank all the voters that kept me here so I could accomplish and help with the city. The city's been very, very important to me, and I appreciate all the backing that I got from the citizens, and I hope I was there for them when they had a problem, and I deeply appreciate it. I also want to have a heads up and thanks to the city staff, all the city employees that I've worked with in the past and in the present. Lots of times you know us by name, but you don't really know us personally. And when you come up here, you get to meet a lot of people, and you get to know them personally. And I hope I can call them my friends, because I do feel that they're my friends. You serve with a lot of different people and touch. I mean, we've been through a lot of different chiefs, both fire, police, and highway commissioners, and all kinds of different people, school superintendents and school peoples that you meet throughout the school board area and stuff like that. So it's been touching to meet these people, and I just want to know how much they mean to me as far as that's concerned. And I'd like to thank former city manager Belmore for all the support that he gave me in the past years and stuff like that. And to City Manager Moore, you almost had me convinced of running again. You're very, very impressive in your ideas, and I'll be looking at it as a citizen, and I'll be cheering you on because you really have some outstanding ideas, and I'm kind of sorry I'm not on the ground that they actually see them and work with you on that part. So outside of that, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Councilor Vincent.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Marty, you mean so much to me from day one when I started in the fire service. You took me on as the first officer, and I think that I was a lot to handle.
That's another statement.
And then I landed here, and you've been supportive, not on everything, but that's why I like the relationship. We have a really good relationship, even outside this place. I can't say enough. You're a stand-up guy. You deserve a pat on the back, and you've had a lot of accomplishments. I just want to thank you so very much. And in some ways, you've guided me. And it might not seem like you've guided me, but you have.
A few lessons you lost.
It's okay. That's what makes us people, I guess. So thanks a lot for serving, and I'm really sad to see you go. Coming here next month with someone new sitting here, it's going to take a little bit to getting used to. Thank you. On the next item I have is about the warming center. There's a lot of questions I have, such as maybe they've already been answered, but in myself. So I'm going to reach out to George McLaris. Things like maintenance costs and, if we decide to ever pull out the value of what the city would get in return, or why not 8 other communities? I do believe there's 11 in the county. I just think it's a county issue from day one. I thought it was a county issue. I'm not against about helping people because that's what I've done my whole life and I still do it to this day. So that's one thing I had. One other thing is, and I don't want to be a hopper on it. I just like the old agenda. I know this is a temporary fix. I like having comments in the beginning that set the stage sometimes. And I know the people that come out here want to be heard more than one time. So I'm pushing for try to change this back. I know something will be done, and I just hope it's the best thing for all of us. And I just want to say, Councilor Goodwin, thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy life. You're a very educated person. I might not agree with everything, but you're an educated person, and you brought value to this community. And I really appreciate that. I've lived here my whole life. I've worked here my whole life. Our old mayor used to bleed blue. I feel that way too. I'm here really for the people. It's not me. That's why I'm so compassionate about every time we write that check. It's not my money. It's not our money. I'll say that forever. But I do believe in spending money to better our community, even though it seems not like that every now and then. But thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Michu?
Yeah, thank you. Councilor Goodwin, thank you for your services. You've been here for just a couple of years, but you made a huge impact on this community. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us. Thank you. Councilor Pepin, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how many years, 18 plus, whatever. You have patience of a saint. So thank you for everything you've done from the fire department, here in City Council. I appreciate your friendship, and I know our friendship will go way past council chambers. So, also, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and see you next year.
Thank you. Councilor Witham?
So 2+ years ago, Councilor Goodwin ran for the city council, and I think it was a conversation on the sidewalk around the time that we were campaigning, if you will. And I said to Paul, hey, if you want to put a sign on my property, feel free. And he did the favor in return and said, if you want to put a sign on my property, feel free. So we did. And I wondered about that, endorsing someone who I really didn't know all that well. But who I thought at the time was going to put in the work. You've done that, and then some. As was remarked earlier, you're always well prepared. You've done the research. You have a lot of data, and I appreciate the numbers that you bring to the table. I knew he'd do that. But I also thought that we would differ more often than not, and I thought that was going to be a struggle. And oddly enough, although we did differ on occasion, more often than not we aligned, which I was thrilled with, quite frankly. And we developed a camaraderie here where we'd ask each other questions during the meeting, and I appreciate that. And as others have said, though only a short amount of time on the council, you contributed in a big way, and I'll forever remember that. And I do hope that you make your presence known on occasion. I just might be inclined to suspend rules to allow you to talk for 5 minutes, more than 5 minutes, because there ain't no way that you can say what you want to say in 5 minutes. So we know that. So, yeah. So, Councilor Pepin, there's not enough time to share with you all the thoughts that I have about your contributions to this community. We did share a little bit of time pulling hose and throwing ladders together. We agreed more often than not doing that job, but on occasion we disagreed on approach and tactics, and somehow you always got your way because you were the more experienced guy, you had the captain rank, but I always appreciated the guidance that you provided me there, and that same guidance you've provided me here. Your steadfast approach, you didn't get riled up very often. Every now and again you did, and you could tell when it was happening. It was your passion for the community that was shining through when you would get sort of amped up and riled up, and you did it in the right way. Your contributions are many. Your volunteerism in the community is great. The tokens of the city's appreciation are small compared to the contributions that you've made to this community. So thank you for all that you've given. I'll drive by your house all the time, so if you need to flag down a city councilor, you can have me stop, and provided your dog lets me out of the car, I'll be glad to talk with you. So, and with that, I'll conclude. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Goodwin.
Thank you. I'll start by saying thank you for all your kind comments, I suppose, but wanted to say thank you to Councilor Pepin for his many years of dedicated service. I learned much by you sharing your experiences and stories of what Somersworth was, and I think we all know what it can be again in many ways. And your guiding principle, I think we have very similar guiding principles, and it's just reassuring to know that I'm not alone in having that faith in our community, and I thank you for all your service in making that happen. Council's taught me a lot, really, but one of the things that I think I've taken away most positively from this experience is that there is hope in local politics, that nonpartisan places can function well, and that party is not important. I don't know, like I could presume, but I don't know the political affiliation of everyone at this table, and frankly, it doesn't matter. And the alliances you would think we have based on party are not actually what happen at this table. What happens is we negotiate what we think is best for our neighbors, what we think is common sense, what we think is a good steward of our resources. This is really, I feel like, where the rubber meets the road, and the dichotomy that our culture has created around party doesn't apply at this level. And that is heartening. And I think that is hopefully the way forward, where we can heal as a country and find solutions outside of that binary, and really focus on making our country a better place, and being kind to each other. And it would not be me if I didn't bring up something to do with city planning and transportation. So I had heard that there was an incident on High Street involving a pedestrian, or potential incident involving a pedestrian in a crosswalk. I think this is at the corner of Beacon Street and High Street, just around the corner here from City Hall. It is sort of on the curve right at the tail end of High Street, right before it comes, or I guess the very beginning of High Street, right before it becomes Market Street. It is a crosswalk I use regularly. I usually walk to council meetings. I walk to downtown for everything. I live on the Hill. And that is one of my go-to crosswalks. It's sort of in the corner. It's a little bit dark there. There's for whatever reason there's a gap in the streetlights. So it is definitely a prime location for visibility issues. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think pedestrian safety, particularly in the downtown, is a critical priority. Drivers don't want to hit people. People don't want to be hit. And we need to make an environment that is a physical environment that supports those objectives. I think, reading some Facebook comments, which is a dangerous thing, there was a lot of folks sort of people that I would classify as drivers, people that don't walk around the downtown, that sort of have a sense of entitlement and be like, well, you're supposed to look before you cross the road and la la la. That's true, that's common sense, but the law is also that you yield to pedestrians. And just because you're in a car doesn't make that person any less human because they're walking or on some other mode of transportation. So I just would encourage people to be respectful of everyone's humanity, regardless of what mode of transportation they're using, and abide by the law, and that we as a community should invest in supporting and reinforcing the law and safety in the downtown. The specific thing I would recommend for this, and this has been brought up before previously when we were talking about the pedestrian beacon that was added at Constitutional Way, would be to add a number of other beacons in the downtown. These are the light up flashing beacons that you have a call button for, so when you're crossing the road, there's a very clear signal of a pedestrian at a couple other locations, strategic crossing locations in downtown, and this was one of the short lists that I had mentioned at that time. Anyways, I just think it would behoove the city to include that in a capital improvement plan to roll out a new pedestrian beacon every couple of years until we get some good coverage in the downtown, so there is a network of safe crossings in the downtown to avoid incidents. Thank you all.
Thank you. Sorry, Councilor Cameron.
Thank you, Your Honor. Marty, thank you for when I first became a counselor and kind of took me under your wing and answered any questions that I had, and I could call you at any time, and I really appreciate that. And we became good friends out of all this, so I will certainly miss that. And you may get a phone call still, so don't think you may not, okay? And Paul, I've known you for a long time, and I appreciate the youthful attitude that you brought into this and teaching us a lot of things that we may not have known about or questioned. And I think your experience on here has been invaluable, and I really appreciated it.
Thank you. I'm almost 40.
It's okay. You're still youthful to me. And I just want to thank everybody on the parade committee. We had a great parade this past weekend. And thank you to Bonfire for the hot chocolate that they provided for the pictures with Santa. And there will be probably don't trust Somersworth because there is snow on the ground now. So happy holidays to everybody and see you next year.
Thank you. Councilor Berry.
I won't go too much into my goodbyes because we do have a meeting on the 15th, so I'm going to hold it till then for a lot of it. But I'm just going to warn both Goodwin and Pepin that you will be getting phone calls from me if I need opinions on or maybe some insight. So just be prepared. You're not out of this, at least from me. So one thing I think others have touched on a little bit that I just want to say that I've seen a lot of negative going on in our community, whether it's accidents, different things going on. But one thing I was very much happy to see is that I've seen also a lot of positive, and it kind of brought me to a quote that I want to kind of end with, saying, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things that can make a big difference to those people. And I've seen so many different people and businesses, community members doing this recently. And I know part of that is this time of year, but I just want to say thank you to those who are doing those things to help our community or people who need the help. We see you, even if it doesn't feel like we don't. Again, I think it's thankless, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who has made that effort.
Thank you. All right. Last on our agenda is adjournment. Councilor Vincent. You want to make the motion? He moves to the City Council stand in adjournment until the next regular scheduled meeting, seconded by, who wants the second? Councilor Goodwin. Question for the council is adjournment. If you're in favor, please state by saying aye. If you're opposed, please state by saying nay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We are adjourned. Thank you.